I love video games. My favorite art form of all time, hands down. I love Nintendo and everything Nintendo does. I love when my narrator turns on. I love iPads with magic puzzles on them. My favorite video game. What's that? Can't talk. On the internet, playing video games. My favorite. You know, every time I try to do a video in here, there's always some weird shit going on in my house. Let me show you. I'm going to show you guys firsthand what I have to deal with every fucking day of my life. Nobody said anything in the lease about there being weird sounds. How the fuck did this even get here, first of all? Who left my door open? Every fucking time I told them to leave the door closed, and the door is never closed. And I always want my chair facing me when I walk in the door, and it's not. It's away from me, and someone left the TV on. Who the fuck's even in here? Is there somebody in my house?
Surprise, bitch.
Rocket Knight Adventures? Where did this come from? More importantly, where did any of these come from? How did they get here? Well, I guess I'll just play them. Move. Hey everybody, and welcome to Beat the Collection. This is a new series that we're doing on DualWield. Pretty much I've made a list of every single game that I have on this shelf, and I'm going to play all of them in random order, no matter how good or bad. Pretty much these videos are going to be divided into 3 sections. We're going to play the game, we're going to analyze it, and then we're going to beat it. And today we're going to be talking about Rocket Knight Adventures. It was a 2D platformer for the Sega Genesis. But before we dive into that, let's dive into a little bit of history. Back in 1993, when Konami was still a game company that made games, they released Rocket Knight Adventures, a side-scrolling platformer designed by Nobuya Nakazoto, who would go on to design notable games in the Contra series, like Contra Hardcore for the Genesis, and Contra 3 The Alien Wars for the Super Nintendo. And that makes perfect sense considering Rocket Knight Adventures has side-scrolling segments and run-and-gun segments, something that the Contra series has been known for since the games have been around. You get to play as this cute little guy named Sparkster, who has this really awesome retro-future design. He has this plate armor, but he also has like a jetpack on his back, he has goggles, and he also has a cute little sword. He's everything that every 90s mascot needs to be. Cute, and he's fucking cool. While Rocket Knight Adventures wasn't at the top of everybody's greatest Genesis games of all time lists or anything like that, in a market that was flooded with stupid ass characters like Arrow the Acrobat and Bubsy, Sparkster stood out in the animal mascot era and very well could have rivaled Sonic, scoring 90% and 9s out of 10s from most gaming publications at the time. This game did a lot of things that I forgot to say. This game did a lot that, in my opinion, wasn't being done in many games in 1993. So enough screwing around, let's play it. So right away on the title screen, we have an options menu which shows you all the different difficulties. We have easy, normal, hard, and then children. Alright. Wait a minute, children? Children? Just because someone might want more lives and continues, in an era where you don't save and have to figure out a game based on wit and skill alone, in a game I know nothing about. Konami gotta make fun of me like that? You know what, that's a cruel fucking joke, Konami. Just like the idea of you still being a game company. Whatever, I'm playing on children. I'm a little baby boy. That's me. That's a picture of me taken moments ago, see? Anyway, we open with this really cool sweeping shot that reveals our main villain we're fighting against. It's some kind of pig guy, who I later found out is named Devligus Tindos. If you go to the Wikipedia page for this game, there's like a crazy amount of lore. Who would have fucking guessed? But you don't really like see him that often. You see this renegade knight guy, his name's Axel Gear, and he's got some edge that's gonna cut you real good. He's kind of like Shadow, but not nearly as bad.
Shadow? Android? Am I an android too?
Right off the bat, one thing that I love about Rocket Knight Adventures is its huge attention to detail. Just take a look at this tower in the background. Keep that in mind as we kind of keep going, because I'm gonna fuck you up. As a video game playing person, you've figured out by hitting buttons you have a neat energy sword projectile to fight these pig knights and pig knights in cars. We'll call this mechanic number 1. So after the pig knights in cars, we've got this big old hill here, and you can't jump over it despite trying. Well, this game's called Rocket Knight Adventures. I'm seeing the knight. Where's the rocket? Well, when I hold the attack button down, there's this little fucking energy meter that builds up top. So what happens if I just fucking let it go? So there is a rocket involved, but every time I try to use it, I just bounce off the hill. Well, fuck, now what do I do? Maybe I could just try backing up a little bit and hey-o! So this one small part of the first stage teaches you everything you need to know about mechanic number 2, the rocket boost. Charging it up with your attack and holding a direction sends you flying in said direction. It bounces you off of obstacles when you're too close, meaning you have to adjust the point from where you launch to get over these obstacles, all while learning these things in a controlled environment. In the industry, that's known as some good fucking design. So then you fight some more pigs and walkers, camouflage pig, pigs on death machine, and then you take this thing and then... So this part I feel is super important to the game. The music, the atmosphere, the building that Sparkster runs headfirst into, because he doesn't give a fuck! Is the same building we saw in the first area of the stage. This whole sequence showcases Rocket Knight's attention to detail, focus on immersion, and the developers' want for people to care about their game. But on the surface, this game just looks like a lot of just platforming and fighting pigs and different things. But it has so much more to offer, so let's buy me a magnifying glass and analyze it. Rocket Knight's level design is comprised of a lot of very simple yet fun and unique mechanics and themes that put you in a lot of different environments with different hazards. And while some things do take risking a life, like this one-hit KO lava, it's a one-hit wonder! It's still varied and experiments with a lot of different ideas. Things like jumping in between the foreground and background of a stage, going in between swimming and minecart segments, airships with actual wind physics on deck that don't affect you as you go below deck, fighting robots, elevators, shoot-'em-up segments, up-scrolling mazes, giant robot boxing matches. It has great pacing, going in between controlled platforming and parts of certain stages that are more fast-paced, where you're being chased by something and have to move through a scrolling area quickly. For the most part, all of these components are super enjoyable, and you're never really doing the same thing twice. Most of these very different parts of these stages expand on the simple ideas of charging up your sword and dashing through areas quickly, or well-placed platforms where you have to think before you jump. The boss of stage 5 has you going through this maze area to get inside a robot and duke it out with Axel in a, you guessed it, giant robot boxing match. The maze is all about going fast, because Axel's robot can kill you in one hit. It's got these ramps that go up and down that play on you dashing across them. It also has these kind of pillar-like areas where if you hit the wall of the pillar, you ricochet your way to the top. All of this is there to help you move quickly, which is the aim of this section. Then you have areas like the first part of stage 3, with this lava that kills you in one hit. But the lava always has a reflection of part of the stage above it, so to gauge a platform's location, you have to wait for the lava to be high enough to show where they are via this reflection. And then you can make your move. This adds this crazy amount of tension because you're all like, do I go now? Maybe now? This fucking lava, fuck! And both of these ideas, faster and slower segments, are combined in the same stage as boss, which goes in between having to jump from platforms either frantically or more calmly to avoid being eaten by a fish, and the same fish shooting these fireballs at you. The second part of his attack phase makes you want to be frantic and dodge, but you can just as easily stay to his right side and not get hit. Creating that illusion of a go 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 mentality while being able to progress doing the opposite is genius. This ebb and flow of fast and slow is what makes sure Rocket Knight Adventures is never boring and makes every second unique. Well, we've had some fun times so far. We've fought trains, spiders, robots, fish, did a giant... You get the fucking idea. So, this is where the game gets really tough, so buckle in and look alive. Because we're gonna beat it! Probably the toughest parts of this game are these last two stages that take place in space. I always thought it was cool when final battles took place in space. It was just cool, I don't know. Stage 6 is another shmup level that doesn't get really bad until we get to the boss, which is a ship that teleports, exposing different parts you have to hit with your sword. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, it's no big deal, I dodged the guys with the missiles and the walkers with the lasers before, I got this. Yeah, well guess what, you're fucking wrong.
Wrong. That is absolutely wrong. Proved over and over again. Wrong. He actually had...
If you hit this ship, if you fucking graze it with your elbow, you lose half of your health. Half. You guys happy now? Everybody having fun? Everybody having a fucking good time? Well, don't worry, because this guy's gonna pull an Optimus Prime on your ass and turn into a mech, and then he has this fucking stupid ball thing that you have to hit, and then he just starts jumping around the entire stage, confining you to these small parts of the screen where you can't... fuck! And if he hits you, that's a quarter of your health fucking gone. This requires surgeon precision on every front, and honestly, it's the reason I chose Children Mode in the first place. Because this is a cheap boss made to eat your lives. So then you destroy this guy and you make it to the final area, which is a Death Star ripoff with a pig face on it. Cool. Looking back, I'm not sure why I lost to this guy so many times, because you just dash into him until he dies. Then he turns into a mech guy and then you dash into him. What do you fucking know? Moving on. Then we get to the moment we've all been waiting for, the final fight with Axel Gear. No ships, no space battles, just one-on-one steel cage match, motherfucker. There's even this tension right before the fight starts where they stare each other down. This fight is so cool because Axel mimics you, so you have to kind of be one step ahead of him, almost like Dark Link in Ocarina of Time. And it doesn't even end after that. In one final blaze of glory, Axel tries to gun you down with missiles. You hang on for dear life as the wall opens and dash into Axel until he finally gets carried out into space. It's kind of this weird dark moment that makes you realize how small we really are. And then you jump into this elevator. I really think the game could have ended here, but there's one last boss. Oh, it's just a ball. It's just a ball that kind of bounces around. Oh. Okay. I kind of feel like this was sort of underwhelming for a final boss. Sure, it's plenty hard, but it's just like, here's the button. Hit the button. Some other stuff might happen. It's okay. Just hit the button. This, in my opinion, is the antithesis of everything this game has built up to this point. A lot of the mini-bosses and bosses of each stage were super varied in how they took damage and where their openings were to attack. On this last one, it's just avoid the thing, hit the spot. I feel like this could have been so much cooler in an actual fight with Devilgus. I mean, fuck, we fought a pig guy in the beginning of the stage. I thought the final boss would be more like dodging attacks and finding that opening while still being able to defend yourself. I don't know, y'all, this fucking oversimplistic whack-a-mole bullshit. Wasn't really into it. And then that's it. It's over. We fucking get into this little space pod and just roll the fuck out of Dodge. So after all this, you're probably asking yourself, should you even play this game? Should you buy it, play it, try it, whatever? And my answer is an emphatic hell yeah.